the December 2020.
I know what I'm doing December 15th.
What's that?
And it rhymes with Jack Reacher. Oh wait, I did that wrong. Hold on.
Yeah, it rhymes.
Black creature.
Black creature.
Black creature. Wait, no, that's not right either. But yeah, you know what I mean. Motherfucking Jack Reacher season 2. Back Reacher, yeah. No, yeah, Jack Reacher's coming back December 15th. Fuck
Someone's reaching.
Hey, Chris, did they drop all those at once with the other or was it a week to week?
It was a weekly thing. Yeah.
Which
we talked about. I prefer the weekly. I just am getting like Invincible. I think it's smart to just drop only 4 episodes of Invincible.
Jack Reacher is basically like the Lord of Toxicity if he was like a good guy. What is that?
Yeah.
They're like yin and yang together.
Yeah, I'd like to point out that he and I are friends, and yeah, that's like he's talking about his friend right now and a fictional character. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Well, hello everybody, and it's the Lord of Toxicity, and I'm here to talk to you about Reacher, the book, the movie, the TV show on Amazon Prime. And before we get into it, I just wanted to tell everybody that I really appreciate all the love I've been getting on my book and my YouTube channel lately, and thanks to the Outcast Creative for having me on. I want to say thanks for watching. Please, if you get a free second and you like this content, you like the things I talk about and the things I have to say, like, comment, and subscribe. Check out my book, Slapdash, on Amazon. It's on Kindle. It's on paperback. It's full of sex and violence. Okay, well, that aside, tonight we're going to talk about Reacher and all that entails. For the uninitiated, Reacher is a book series about a former military policeman who wanders from place to place getting in adventures. His name is Jack Reacher, and he's a 6'5" wrecking ball that has a penchant for getting himself into trouble. Jack Reacher is a former military police investigator in the U.S. Army's Military Police Corps. He's a former major, which is an officer grade in the U.S. Army, and he led a group of special investigators called the Special Investigators Unit, the 110th. When we first meet Reacher, he's traveling around from place to place, and he's getting off a bus in Margrave, Georgia. And in Margrave, Georgia, he runs afoul of a murder mystery that's going on, unbeknownst to him, with some very personal connotations. Through that story, he winds up making some friends and making some enemies and finding out a close loved one of his has been murdered. The first season of Jack Reacher has to do with The Killing Floor. Killing Floor is the 1997 first novel by Lee Child about the titular character Reacher. And it basically catches us up in the first-person narrative of Reacher getting off a bus, going into Margrave, and finding out that he's been accused of murder. He will find out later, and spoilers for anyone who doesn't already know, spoiler alert, I'm going to be talking about Season 1, Season 2, Season 3, the movies, the books, and everything that it entails. If you're not familiar with this stuff, up to and including Season 3, which I only have a little bit of information on, although I have read the book, then please don't come back to this until you've already watched those seasons and the movies in whichever order that you see fit. I'll also be giving a breakdown of how the movies interact with the TV show and the orders in which the book is in and how that goes. Anywho, that's what we'll be discussing tonight. And without further ado, tonight we're going to talk about some content, and we are going to get into Consider the Source. We're going to find out how the books hold up against the movies and the TV shows, beginning with The Killing Floor.
Consider the source, it's all the same. Truth or twisting, adaptations gain. He holds scales, he holds the lines. Lord of toxicity will prove the light.
So for those who don't know, and if maybe you've not watched the channel enough or not seen the right videos or the right live streams, Lord of Toxicity, this guy that you see in front of you, is also this guy that you see in front of you. The white one, by the way, not the handsome black one. And this guy is a former military policeman. Yep, this handsome devil was once a runner and a gunner in the United States Army's Military Police Corps, later a paratrooper, later a security specialist, and now currently an investigator. So, when I give you an idea about what I think of Jack Reacher and his adventures, written by Lee Child and brought to the big screen by Tom Cruise and later brought to the small screen by Amazon Prime with Alan Ritchson, I feel pretty confident that you can take my word that I know what I'm talking about. So, if you can go ahead and give me your attention span here for just a little bit, what I'd like to talk about is Killing Floor. So as I said, Killing Floor takes place in Margrave. In the novel version, it was 1997, and that's where we first meet Reacher. It's done in the first-person narrative, and it's also, not coincidentally, the first of the Amazon Prime series that was released, I believe, 2022, early 2022. And after this movies had already come out, the Tom Cruise movies, a lot of people had been a little bit on the side of, I'm not so sure about this Jack Reacher thing. This isn't exactly what I had in mind. Specifically the people who look at the books and enjoy the books, because obviously in the books, he's written as this 6'5" monster. And, well, let's just say in the movie version, well...
Next up, I play Headmaster Bates Man.
Anything else?
Actually, yes. After that, I'll be taking the role of Major Dixon Butts, then Senator Rod Clutcher.
Gay!
So for those who had actually watched the movies and read the books, even though you may or may not find Tom Cruise to be entertaining, everybody knows that Tom Cruise is a little guy, and it didn't quite, what's the best word for it? It didn't really blow everybody's skirt up, so to speak. So the biggest reaction that we got from normies was, hey, it's an enjoyable Tom Cruise Mission Impossible adjacent. But to the people that are big fans of the books...
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
So yeah, movies didn't go over so well. First one, not too bad. Second one, never go back. Yeah, not great. And a lot of people were wondering how the TV show is going to fit into the narrative. Trust me, I will get to that when we start talking about season 2 of the show. Anyway, season 1 gets Reacher involved in this murder case. The murder, we find out later, of his actual brother, and it's shown a little bit of flashbacks. What him and his brother did is military brats. Their dad was a Marine, mom was a French expatriate, and moved from base to base, basically getting in trouble, much like what Jack does now. We find Reacher, I think like maybe a few years after his retirement from the Army. He's resigned his commission, and he's basically hopping buses, living as a hobo, as he calls it. And as he's living as a hobo, he doesn't have a good alibi. He doesn't have a phone. He doesn't have a lot of the niceties that we have. He has this weird thing about changing his clothes and then donating them to clothing stops and grabbing new clothes and staying at hotels or sleeping in yards, much as a hobo would do. Well, a hobo with a military pension anyway. He runs into this deputy named Roscoe, and she basically right off the bat takes his side. That's her in uniform, and I think we can all agree that the actress that plays Roscoe looks a hell of a lot better in real life. And the rest of the time, after he finds out that he is searching for his brother's killer, Jack decides to basically infiltrate the investigation with the help of Roscoe and her boss, the captain of detectives. And after a few cool, fights that Reacher gets into, after he gets locked up, and we find out a couple things. One, that Reacher can pretty much fuck up anybody within, grabbing distance. 4, 5, 6 guys, makes no matter. With his MP tactics training and his incredible size and his excellent street fighting skills, not to mention the fact that he's a borderline sociopath that has no problem completely taking people out of the fight. He's quite the formidable opponent. And after he gets released from jail, he starts to discover the big conspiracy in Margrave that has to do with counterfeiting money. The chief of detectives and the new love interest, Roscoe, help Reacher find out not only who killed his brother, but who's been killing other targets within the Margrave town, and specifically why they're doing it. It ends with Reacher doing what he does best, which is leaving town before too many questions can get answered, and then hopping on a bus. As he does so, he says goodbye to the chief of detectives, Finley, and to his brief romance partner, Roscoe, and he moves on to what we would assume would be the next book in the series and the next season, which was also on Amazon Prime. After the first season made so much of a waves as, this large mammoth of a guy just fucking people up right, left, and center, in the age of wokeness, no less, just a couple years after the pandemic, it was received pretty well. And then all of a sudden, everybody was clamoring for more. The books got quite a big resurgence. People started to decide, hey, this might be something pretty cool. And season 2 was greenlit. And of course, season 2 was going to go ahead and follow what most of the books follow, which is, for those in the know, Jack Reacher going from place to place, going from town to town, getting in adventures, and fucking people up. All on his own lonesome, maybe hooking up with a chick, maybe not. But at the end of the day, just Reacher all on his own. Same story, same formula, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Right?
Take it to the team. You take this to the team.
Yeah, no, we didn't do that. We went with the actual, let's see, by my notes, the 11th novel in the book series. Or no, excuse me, I'm sorry. Disregard that last. The 6th book became the 2nd series manuscript, which is Bad Luck and Trouble. And as the clip tells you, yes, in fact, we get the band back together, and what's the remnants of the 110th Special Investigator Unit that Reacher used to head while he was still in the Army comes back together to figure out who is killing off members of their unit. By the time we see Reacher, he stops a carjacking and he gets brought in by his old pal Neagley, who tells him that members of our old unit are being hunted down. They get joined by a couple other members of the 110th, one being a love interest of Jack's from the past that he never quite consummated with, and then does so later on in the aftermath of this series. And what follows is the team of the Special Investigators Unit, of what's left of them, teaming up with an honest New York police detective and finding out who is killing off members of their team and why. Which that'll bring us into what I guess is maybe my biggest issue with the TV show, if not with the books. As far as the books, this is one of my favorite things, but in the TV show, this might be my biggest problem. You have Sergeant Neagley, the only non-commissioned officer, meaning she's the only sergeant in the team of the 110th. She makes her opening premiere in season 1, Killing Floor, but is not actually in the novel Killing Floor. In fact, for those in the know, and maybe for those not in the know, Neagley is only in 4 of the main stories of the Lee Child Reacher series. A couple of the short stories that are adjacent to the stories, and she's mentioned in a few of the books that she herself doesn't actually make an appearance in. She's played by Maria Sten on the TV show, and, I have no complaints about how she's played. I think I envisioned different actresses over the years of reading the books that may or may not have done a better job. Not 100% sure present day who I would have gotten. I think back in the day, I kind of envisioned like Sarah Shahi or something like that, because Neagley is kind of she's Reacher's opposite. She's more analytical, whereas, you know, Reacher is this big monster. Although he is quite intelligent, uses intelligence. Neagley tends to share a lot of Reacher's smarts and his brutality. She herself might even be a bit of a sociopath herself. Certainly some of her actions would speak to that. But yeah, she is you know, a demure, small, little diminutive female who can fuck people up as well, usually with trickery and speed, as opposed to, you know, Reacher being this huge Goliath. So what you wind up having is this kind of cool juxtaposition between the two characters, and it's a more less is it's a less is more approach with the books. She pops up in her first book and without fail, and as opposed to this, where she pops up in the first story, she's kind of shoehorned in, and I think it's the most noticeable in Reacher season 1. Although I'll have to get back to you about Reacher season 3 and see how that goes. That being said, it's not wholly, you know, it doesn't completely pull you out of the story, but I will say that it's definitely something that grabs your attention, and I can see why they did it. I can also see why they did what they did with making Bad Luck and Trouble the one and only team group effort Reacher adventure, as far as an entire team of you know, A-team type protagonists. I can see why they did that. They wanted to shake up the narrative and not keep showing the same thing, because people who read the books will tell you that most of the Reacher books, as popular as they are kind of rinse and repeat, you know, the same thing all over again. Reacher goes to another town, he gets into an adventure, he finds a mystery, he gets embroiled in it, and, you know, one way or the other, he helps out and then he fucks a bunch of people up. That's basically it, over and over again. Another one of the things that season 2 does with Bad Luck and Trouble, the actor Alan Richardson got even more jacked than he was in the first one. And yeah, they show that off quite a bit over the course of the series. He basically, I've heard it said by other YouTubers that, you know, he looks like a bunch of walnuts stuck in a condom. So I don't know what the purpose of that was, but I mean, he spends a lot of his time with a shirt off in season 2.
Gay!
But anyway, so it's not bad stuff. A lot of people found season 2 to be kind of a downer after season 1. They didn't think the fight scenes were as good. They thought maybe there was too many characters, this and that. I don't wholly disagree with that. You know, those are good points. I enjoyed the second season just as much as I enjoyed the first one, and I enjoyed the second season better than the book. In that way, it is definitely you know, a better narrative with the TV show. I thought the TV show fixed a lot of the things that I had issues with in the book Bad Luck and Trouble. So I like the team dynamic, and I like the actors and actresses that play the people in the team. So overall, I was pretty excited to see it, and I thought it was pretty good. Which brings us neatly to season 3 of Reacher, which will be based on, let's see, I believe that one is the 11th book. That might not be right. Go ahead and fact check me on that one. But it's a later book, and it's called Persuader, and that is what season 3 is going to be based on. I don't have a lot of information. I do know that Neely will be back in this one, and again, unlike Bad Luck and Trouble, but like Killing Floor, Neely is not her character in this story, but they've shoehorned her in. Now, whether or not that's going to be good or bad, I don't know. Alan Richardson seems to have gone back to kind of a little bit more of a, I mean, a normal size for him, probably not a normal size for me or you. He seems to have a new love interest, which is a DEA agent, and he's got a new antagonist, this guy, Paulie, which compared to Reacher, looks like he ate Reacher. So that's kind of crazy as far as that goes. But, you know, maybe he has that normal size, or more normal for Reacher size anyway, due to the fact that they wanted to bring in this huge antagonist for him to fight. So, all in all, is this going to be any good? Is this going to be a situation where, you know, season 1 leads to season 2, leads to season 3, and it's diminishing returns. I don't know. I can't speak to that. I myself did enjoy season 2 based on Bad Luck and Trouble. I don't have a problem with that. Bad Luck and Trouble does address the fact of the existence of the two novels that the two movies were based off of, which a lot of people were asking about. Is he going to go back to those stories one shot and never look back? Well, according to season 2, those stories have already been told in between the times of season 1 and season 2, or somewhere around there. I myself, a little brief history for the books. My mom bought me the book of Jack Reacher back in 2004. It was the one that appeared then, and it's one of the Reacher flashback stories. For the people who read the Reacher books, you'll know that there are certain books that are just dedicated to flashbacks, so they're told out of chronological order of the seasons that we've seen so far. And the first one I read is chronologically the first actual Reacher story, where he's still a major in the United States Army, and he's dealing with a murder mystery on the base. It's a pretty good one. I've enjoyed it. If you get a chance, you can Google Reacher books in chronological order, and it'll basically tell you which ones to look at. There's 30 books in the Reacher series thus far, and that's a conservative estimate, and that's not talking about the side books, the specialty books, and it's not talking about the short stories that Reacher gets involved in. So in that way, you've got a lot of material to look at. So 30 or more books put to page, and only, well, now 3 seasons of a TV series and 2 movies. There is rumors of a Neely spin-off series. Not sure what to think about that, but I mean, just due to the fact that they've shoehorned Neely character played by Maria Sten into 2 seasons of a story she's only in 1 season of, according to the book lore, I think that's probably a safe bet that they're going to try to make that happen. How that's going to play out, your guess is as good as mine. I really don't have any idea. I hope it'll be good. I hope it won't be some woke girl boss bullshit. I've marginally enjoyed her up to this point. I think it gets a little heavy-handed with her and Reacher's dynamic. I think the dynamic between Neely and Reacher plays a lot better in the books than it does on the show. It doesn't play bad on the show. She's not a bad actress. She's cute to look at, and some of her little quirks that she has, like not touching people, being a gamer, always eating sugary shit cereal, even though she's this little skinny supermodel type chick. All of that stuff's pretty endearing, and I like the character overall. She plays pretty good off of Reacher, but again, like I said, I much prefer the dynamic that they have in the novels. And if you read the novels, I think you'll understand it. It's not something that I can quite put into words, but it is something that I can say plays a lot better on the page as opposed to the screen. Now, that being said, obviously season 3 has not come out yet, and until it does, I can't positively speak on that one. I'm in the process of reading Persuader. It's one of the Jack Reacher books that has skipped by me thus far, and I'm in the process of reading it. I feel pretty confident I'll have it read before season 3 does premiere here in a couple weeks. Then I'll do a follow-up to this, probably a live stream of some kind, to kind of get an overall Reacher, retrospective, how things flesh out. The main story, as I understand it, and given the fact that I haven't read the book, is that Reacher gets brought into a situation where an old enemy of his from the military is working with this crime lord. The DEA basically recruits Reacher into this situation so that he can work for the drug dealer and, get into his confidence to find out exactly what he's got and what his big evil master plan is. He's got the big dude Paulie that he's run into before, where I'm not sure. I don't know if it was something in the military or one of his many other adventures. And of course, they're going to have some cool fisticuffs. This might quell some of the fussing that people have had as far as, I didn't like the fight scenes. They were unrealistic in season 2. I don't think season 2 fight scenes were unrealistic. For the record, I do think they did suffer somewhat as opposed to some of the really awesome set piece fight scenes that happened in season 1, specifically the prison stuff. So that being said, overall, I'm looking forward to it. It should be good. Hopefully by now they've kind of figured out what to do with Neely, whether or not she's going to be another instance of her being shoehorned into the situation, or if it'll gel correctly with the overall narrative. Right now, I don't have enough information to tell you, and your guess is as good as mine. I've been pretty happy so far, so I can't really think of anything that could go wrong with this. I mean, obviously, like anything else, it could be diminishing returns, as I said on the outset of this. Is it something that I'm looking forward to, though? Yeah, I am looking forward to it. I think it should be pretty entertaining. Even if it's the worst of the three, it's still better than most of the stuff we see out there. So, to the consider the source question, the books versus the TV show versus the movies. I don't believe that the movies themselves, I don't believe they really stand up to the books. You can't, no matter how much you like Tom Cruise and how much his star power, and his wattage and how good of a shape he's in at his age, no matter how much of those things you like, it's just not enough to say, oh, okay, yeah, that's my Jack Reacher. Because at the end of the day, a lot of the narrative in the books has to do with the fact that you're dealing with an ex-MP who's also 6'5", 260 pounds, whatever. So there's really no getting around that. Alan Richardson was made to play this part. I don't think anybody could argue that. Now, the books versus the TV show. Well, along this route, I've given you a lot of examples where I feel like the books work better. Not the least of which is the dynamic between Reacher and Neely on screen. Am I completely happy with everything that they do on the show? No. Is it something that's really jarring and pulls you out of the overall narrative? I don't think that it does. Their dynamic is fine. I just think it plays better in the book, and I also think a less is more approach with Neely is definitely something that I would prefer, especially if they're really going to hammer us with a spinoff. And again, that's right now just something that's possibly in development. I don't have anything solid on that yet, whether or not that's going to happen. As I know more, I'll come out with another video and address it in due time. But Maria Sten does a great job. I have no real complaints, and overall it's fine. Season 2 does suffer following along Bad Luck and Trouble. Do I think that was a bad call, doing a team-oriented series after the first one was so successful? I don't think that it was. I think you need to shake up TV. I think there have been just as many haters and complainers had they used another book for the source material. One of many, which is Jack Reacher, doing the stereotypical go into a town, get into an adventure, fuck people up thing. Rinse and repeat. I don't think people would have dug that. I think there have been just as many people complaining this show just does the same tired trope all the time, especially with what they're doing with season 3, which is pretty much the same thing. Again, although, like I said, they are inserting Neely again. The fight scenes, I would definitely put season 1 ahead of season 2 overall, but I think the overall narrative of season 2 is better. I think the villains really suffer in season 1 and season 2. But to that end, I will tell you that in the books, the villains are never really good in the books. So there's never a situation in which you're really, really concerned about Reacher for the most part. Maybe some of the origin story ones, but again, those ones were the ones that take place while he's still in the military that are basically prequel stories. You already know that Reacher in present day exists. So you really can't be worried too much. But as far as that goes, those are the ones that I personally enjoy more, and if they're the ones that have the better villains in it as well. So overall, I would definitely say I prefer the narrative of the older story or the prequel story books to the current setting story. There's only so many times you can read them. There's a couple books that I'm really excited that they might adapt. I did really like One Shot, and I'm glad that they adapted it into the movie that they adapted it into. I would have loved to have seen that one done, in the TV series. That would have been great, especially because, renaming One Shot Reacher, which I understand why they did that, but giving it as a Tom Cruise vehicle, some of that narrative definitely suffers. Very specifically, one scene near the end of both the book and the film. This right here, Jack Reacher has a guy at gunpoint. It's one of the main antagonists from the film. And this is something that anyone who follows the books knows that Jack Reacher would never do. Let's watch it play out. Ridiculous. Reacher would never do that in order to get in a mano-a-mano fight. One of the best things about Reacher, one of the things that people like the most is Reacher is not going to give the bad guy an opportunity to defend himself in any way. One of Reacher's number one motives that he lives by is get your payback in first. He's not going to throw his weapon down in order to go fisticuffs with some dude in the rain to prove a point. That's not Reacher. He's not going to do that. He's just going to blow that guy's head off. So at the end of the day, that's one of my biggest complaints. The unbelievability of some of the way that Tom Cruise acts as Reacher, I don't like it. As opposed to season 1 of Jack Reacher, the TV series based on Killing Floor, there's a time when Reacher gets the drop on 2 Venezuelan sicarios and shoots them in the back and then breaks their bones in order to fit them in a trunk. That right there, my friend, that is something that Reacher would do. And in that way, I can easily recommend Reacher as the TV series as being at least as faithful as the source material. Overall, right now, this moment in time, I'm going to give Consider the Source book versus the films versus the TV show. I'm going to say the books are way better than the films that adapted them. And as far as the TV show, well, I'm going to go ahead and give it a tie. Yes, I'm going to puss out and give it a tie just because I don't think I can honestly make a good assessment until season 3 of Reacher, the TV series comes out. I don't think that would be fair to anybody to do that. So right now, this moment in time, it's a tie between the TV show and the books. As far as the movies versus the books, it's definitely the books that win. So we'll see. I'll drop another video here in a few weeks after I've binge watched as much as season 3 as I can. Now, whether or not season 3 will follow suit of the first 2 seasons and go episode by episode or drop them all at once, I do not know. Some of Amazon Prime stuff, like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, did drop all at once. Some of it does not, and it goes week to week, like Fallout. No, actually, Fallout did drop all at once, didn't it? I don't know. I'm not sure about that one. But anyway, some of the stuff is week to week. Some of the stuff is all at once binge watch type model. What they'll do with Reacher, I honestly don't know. I haven't been given that information yet. As soon as I know, I'll let you know. But you may know just as soon as I do. You might know sooner because I'm not that smart. But anyway, that's all I got for Consider the Source today. So I guess we're calling it a draw between the book and the TV show. And we're calling it a big win for the books against the movie adaptations with Tom Cruise. Sorry, Tom Cruise. Don't know what to tell you, buddy. Anyway, again, thanks for joining me for this, and let me know what you think about Reacher. Which one's your favorite season? If you've read the books, which one is your favorite book so far? Which of the books that hasn't been adapted would you like to see them adapt for the TV show? And would you think a movie version with Alan Ritchson would be something that would be valuable, something that would be cool to see Alan Richardson up on the big screen playing Richardson. I think that could be pretty cool. I've not seen him in anything on the big screen so far, so everything I've been subjected to him has been TV stuff, specifically this show. So yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that. But anyway, until next time, remember,